Hi everyone, Katie from Integration Learning. As always, I like to remind people at the top of the video to like and subscribe if these are helpful for you. If you're a little bit of a commitment phobe, I totally understand. Liking or leaving a comment is just as helpful as subscribing, whatever works best for you. In today's video, we're going to be talking about gratitude lists and how they help us with learning, executive functioning, and a whole host of other things. Now, I know what you're thinking. Gratitude lists? Aren't those a little corny? Yes, they are. They're quite corny, but who cares? Do them in private so no one will see how uncool you are for a few minutes each day. They're also incredibly helpful. If you think about the people in your life or in the world who are the happiest, most successful, most powerful, chances are they're a little corny, right? So just keep that in mind. And this is going to be another one of those practices that isn't very high stakes, doesn't require a lot out of you. So if you got to be corny for a couple minutes a day, again, who cares? Well, before we talk about gratitude lists, we have to talk about neural pathways. So do you see this picture right here? That is what a neural pathway in your brain looks like. And one thing you'll notice about the image is that some of those neural pathways are thicker or stronger than other ones. Some of them are a little skinnier, a little flimsier, as you can see. So when we're talking about neural pathways, we're talking about how interconnected neurons handle the information we take in all around us, right? Anything from our experiential world, whether we see it, smell it, hear it, taste it, whatever, they allow us to interact with that world. And particularly in this video, we're going to talk about how they help us to experience emotions, sensations, things like that. They also form the basis of our memories, so they make learning possible. That's where that learning component comes in. Now think of them as bridges. The more you respond to a stimulus, which is one of those things I mentioned in your environment, sight, smell, etc., in other words, anything that happens to you in your life, in a certain way, the stronger that bridge becomes in your brain. So if you emotionally are processing stimuli from the outside world in a very negative way, that's going to build a bridge toward negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative memories. And that bridge is going to be much stronger than if you process the information and lead it toward more positive, healthy, self-loving, self-affirming outcomes. So as I mentioned, neural pathways involve stimulus and response. This is really important because we have to think about what we do when we feel sad, when we feel frustrated, when we feel bored, when we feel angry, or even happy or relaxed, any emotion. So let's think of some examples. Maybe, for example, a parent expresses frustration at you forgetting to do your homework. So you play a video game to blow off some steam. And you play the video game and you realize, wow, after a few hours of that, I totally forgot about the thing my parent was angry at me for. Then you maybe go back outside your room, parent is still angry with you, so you go right back, shut the door, and play a few more hours of the video game. What you are doing is building that bridge. You're getting the stimulus, the parent's anger, right? Or frustration or whatever response they have. And then you're getting your response to that stimulus, which is, I don't want to feel bad about myself. I don't want to feel disappointed in myself. I don't want to be subjected to my parents' disappointment and frustration right now. So I'm going to go play that video game, get myself out of this and feel much better. Now, it sounds on the surface like that's a great idea, except for the fact that the homework that didn't get done never gets done. And the emotions that you feel when you're responding to that external trigger, that external stimulus, they never get dealt with in the healthiest way. I'm not saying that playing video games is unhealthy. I'm not one of those people, but I'm saying we have to build the healthiest habits to properly deal with our emotions and therefore create the best possible outcomes for ourselves. Now, let me give you another example. Maybe someone, let's be honest, probably a bot, posts a mean comment online that you rage respond to, and you get positive reinforcement in the form of other comments from other people, again, probably bots, and you keep doing it. And every time you do it, you get some sort of reinforcement from a person or a bot saying, yeah, go rage text that person/computer AI program. You're doing great. So you're getting that reinforcement to build that habit, but it's a negative behavior and it's not a fully self-serving behavior. Here's the thing. We've all strengthened these harmful thought bridges in our brain because we didn't know any better or because we were being actively encouraged to do so. So the question becomes, how do we dismantle these habits and build healthier neural pathways? Well, we have to build neural pathways. The question kind of answers itself. And this is where the gratitude list comes in. Just like the vibe check I mentioned in a previous video, a gratitude list does not take a lot of time, only about 2 to 5 minutes. But as with all learning, as I've mentioned before, it requires consistency, it requires a process, and it requires patience for change. You're not going to make one gratitude list, walk away from it forever, and hope that your life is going to be different. This has to be a daily, consistent practice. But again, do you have 2 to 5 minutes out of your day, hopefully roughly the same time every day, to make this gratitude list? I'm going to just throw a wild guess into the air and say that you do. So what do you do? How do you do it every single day at roughly the same time so that you remember to do it? Well, you can use anything. You can use your laptop, you can use an iPad, you can use your phone, maybe the Notes app, you can use a daily journal if you like to write by hand. You can even use a voice memo app or a voice to text map if that is a way in which you learn or you process information best. A lot of us do really well when we talk about things and we talk them through. So that is a totally viable way of doing this gratitude list. And what you'll do is every day, again, around the same time so that you remember and you create a practice out of it, every day around the same time, you're going to write down 10 things that you're grateful for. That's it. And you don't even have to write complete sentences. I'll give you an example. I write a gratitude list every morning. I'm kind of a slow turtle in the morning, so having a gratitude practice helps to kind of get me going and get me back into human pace as opposed to my typical turtle pace. So I do one every morning. And the very first thing that I put on my gratitude list is who you might see behind me sleeping on the couch, my dog Coleslaw. And all I write for number 1 at the top of my gratitude list every single day is Coleslaw, because I know what that means. I don't need to write out some long drawn sentence because that's enough for me to remember that I'm so grateful for this bag of fur behind me who has just made my life wonderful and enjoyable in ways I couldn't possibly imagine. And what happens is when you do this consistent practice every day, when you take these couple of minutes to do this at the same time each day, you start to have what I call the slug bug effect. Now, don't let the looks fool you. I was born in the 80s. I know. We're all very shocked at that, I can tell. And when I was a kid, there was this game called Slug Bug. Uh-oh, my light went out in the back. Oh, well, it happens. There was this game when I was a kid called Slug Bug. And I had 8 older siblings, so this game was sometimes not very fun for me because here's what it involved. You're driving along on the road with your family and you're all bored and there's nothing to do. This is pre-cell phone and internet days. So you look for a bug, a Volkswagen Bug, a Volkswagen Beetle, and the first kid in the car to call out the bug, sometimes even the color of it was involved, gets to say slug bug red and hit their sibling. Now again, because I was the youngest, I wasn't the best at this game, but it did stick with me for obvious reasons. And what happens is then you start to notice every slug bug on the road because you're just looking for them, right? They're in your brain. That habit starts to form, that neural pathway starts to build. So having a gratitude journal is like that. The more you start thinking about the things you're grateful for, the more you start looking for stuff that you will be grateful for. And you do that more and more and more throughout the days and the weeks and the months and the years until gratitude just kind of fills your life. And even if you're having a crummy day and you want to be snarky in your gratitude journal, totally fine. I have done this before. Maybe you wrote something like, oh yeah, I'm really glad I failed that test, or I'm really glad that I lost that job. But what that does is it opens a door to allow you to find the gratitude even in the difficult circumstances. Maybe you are glad you failed that test because it was the fire underneath you needed to start doing better in the class. Maybe you're glad you lost that job because that job was terrible and made you sad every day of your life. And now you've got this wide open space to explore new and better opportunities. So if you have to be snarky in your gratitude list, go for it. Just do it. Just do the list. And here's what you're going to start to notice. Number one, your perception of the world, the way that you interact with the world and start to build memories and process information, it changes for the better, for the healthier, for the more self-loving and self-affirming. You also feel less out of control because you're not at the mercy of the things and the people and the negative stimuli around you that are harming you. The third thing it does, and I think this may be the most important for a lot of us, I really want you to listen to this part. You stop internalizing cruel and negative messages. You're not building those negative neural pathway bridges in your brain. You're building healthy, happy, positive ones. So you don't internalize the messages that we all get that unfortunately cause us to think like the people who hurt us. And therefore, when we stop thinking like the people who hurt us, we stop behaving like the people who hurt us. And we don't want to behave that way. We want to be good and kind and loving. And doing something as simple as a gratitude list helps us to do that. It helps with our executive functioning. And in learning, you can be more productive because all of those brain blocks that get in the way of the stuff we want to do, the cool art we want to make, the music we want to make, the progress in a certain class or at a certain job or in a certain relationship that we want to have, those brain blocks like sadness, anger, resentment, fear, despair, they decrease. And we get better at doing the things we want to do, that we love doing, that we want to get better at. And so that's where the executive functioning component comes in. Is something as simple as writing a gratitude list every day for a couple minutes helps us to become better learners, better friends, better partners, better parents, children, siblings, just better people, but most importantly, better for ourselves. So I hope this video was helpful. As always, like and subscribe if you can. It makes my day. I'm very grateful for it. And as always, please be kind to yourselves.